you know, I assume I knew I was gay when I was a little kid. Just my attractions to other males, I guess. But I didn't actually come out till I was 26, I think, to my parents. So, even though I kind of was gay before then. So mine was fairly, so you had it far more dramatic coming out.
I probably knew I was gay when I was 3 or 4. I just remember being very young and just being aware of being different. That's probably a lot of kids did, but it then turned out to be more and more true. But then I never really kind of came to terms with it until I was at UCLA, and when I was on student government at UCLA, I ended up writing a kind of a coming out story on National Coming Out Day for the student newspaper, all about kind of, you know, coming out of the closet. So that was kind of dramatic and fun. And then we met only like 8 months after that.
I first came out to my grandmother, who lived locally, and she was great. You know, she's a kind of a factory worker, and she's like, oh, you know, I know a lot of gals in the factory that are like that, and they're great, and I love you, and it doesn't make any difference to me. And so my mother came and visited about a week later, and this was her mother, the grandmother, and we kind of ambushed my mother, and I kind of told my mother in my grandmother's apartment. And my mother actually at first did not react well. She was very good. I'm an only child, and I just think it really shattered a lot of her dreams of what she thought I would become. And it was great because my grandmother then came in there and just kind of comforted her and said it's fine. And then I kind of immediately handed my mother the book, Now That You Know. Pretty much had it in my hand, so here you go. And then she went off and read it, and she's been great, and she's very supportive ever since.
When I was going to come out of UCLA, I had kind of started getting my act together personally, and so maybe about a month before that, I kind of figured before I was going to write something big in a newspaper, I should talk to my family. So I talked to my brother, and I came out to him. We were all vacationing in Hawaii with my family, and I just remember I sort of really said, you know, I'm going to come out to my brother on this trip, and it was towards the end of the trip. I hadn't done it yet, and it was late the night before we were going to come home, and I was telling him as we were sharing a room, and he kind of fell asleep in the middle of the story. He was so nonplussed by it all, which is sort of funny. And then maybe a week later, came out to my sister, and then my parents a couple days before I did this thing at UCLA. But they were good. I mean, I think they were mostly concerned that maybe, and I think in the same way that Dan's mom was, they had kind of a vision of what they wanted their kid to achieve, and somehow thought that you know, by coming out or being gay, it would be harder for me to achieve those same goals. But you know, very quickly got over that, and been, you know, incredibly supportive as well. I grew up, when I was a kid, my dad was in the Air Force, so we lived in a bunch of different places. Grandpa Alex, right? Let's sit with our legs crossed. And so we did, we moved around a lot. Lived in, mostly when I was a teenager, in the East Bay in San Francisco.
And I grew up in a farm in Michigan, very rural. I don't know of anybody that was gay in my entire, you know, high school of 800 people. I don't know a single person that was actually gay. I think he actually committed suicide a couple of years after he graduated, I think. And I kind of just knew him a little bit, but there was nobody. And this is all pre-internet too, and you know, it's a very different world now. When I was an undergraduate, I was in a fraternity, and so I kind of had parallel lives. I had a gay life and my fraternity straight life, and I kept them completely separate. And yeah, and it's been a long kind of process of coming out, and I think actually having a child helps that. You don't really give a damn anymore. You just kind of like, oh, you know, here's my husband and here's my daughter, And it's very interesting how that, I think, changed a lot for me. Was just a little more comfortable. It's weird because after kind of, somewhat lying to a lot of people or not being truthful for a long time, it's very hard to confront that. So it's been kind of a long process, and now it just kind of happens through. I've never had a friend negatively react that I've told that's overtly been negative about it. We've actually probably lost more friends because we had a child.
I have more of the situation where people or friends kind of, they were, not at all surprised, right? Because I never really, I'd never, in high school, I'd never really asked the girls to go to dances. I was always invited by people, and I never had a serious girlfriend ever, and all through college the same way. So when I came out to my roommates in college, they were like, yeah, of course, like, we're just sort of waiting for you to get to that point. So I also didn't have any, real bad experiences. I think most people self-select without even knowing it, who they pick as their friends. And who you really consider your friends. I mean, you might know a lot of people. There are probably people in Dan's fraternity who were, would have not been positive, but those weren't his friends in the fraternity probably to begin with, So I don't think we've had any real issues, or I haven't had any real issues in terms of coming out to friends and having an issue with them.
Do you like going on roller coasters? Yeah. Yeah? What's your favorite ride?
Space Mountain.
Wow. That's brave. I went on Thunder Mountain once, and I was really scared. I know. I can't do it.
I went on Thunder Mountain, and I was brave.
I think you're very brave to go on any of those mountain roller coaster rides.
Even Splash Mountain.
What do you like to do when you're on the roller coasters?
Ski. Go to Legoland.
Legoland? Wow. And how many times have you been to Legoland? A lot or a little?
5 or 4.
5 or 4 times. Wow.
That's probably right.
And what else do you do with your daddies? Do they take you to school? Do you go to school? Do you go to playgrounds?
I go to playground somewhere, and they also take me to school.
What kind of stuff you do at school?
Lots of stuff and really fun stuff.
Really fun stuff? Do you paint pictures?
Yeah.
Do you learn your ABCs?
No.
No? Is that like baby stuff? Like you're totally past that? Yeah.
But sometimes I sing it.
Yeah. It's a pretty good song.
How many kids in your class at school?
5 or 6.
And how many in your class other kids have 2 dads?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 in the whole school? That's probably right. And what do the other kids ever ask you about having a daddy and a papa?
No.
Do you remember when we were on the airplane yesterday? We were flying back from Washington, D.C. a couple days ago? And remember the woman that we were sitting next to on the plane, this is when you and I were flying by ourselves? And the woman said to you, and she was talking about me, and she said, hey, your daddy's really nice, and what'd you tell her? He said, that's not my daddy, that's my papa. That was pretty funny, right? Does that happen sometimes? People call me daddy accidentally because they don't know I'm your papa instead? That's pretty funny, huh?
Which one is Papa and which one is Daddy?
This is Papa and this is Dad.
Okay.
What's daddy's first name?
Dan.
What's papa's first name?
Andrew.
And what's your first name?
Vivienne Harry's mom.
Very nice.